As mentioned earlier, YARKEN goes way beyond just the cloud spend. And we have a whole raft of default dashboards supporting the IT function, not just for FinOps, but beyond. Let's have a few in that. The interesting bit is that cloud spend benefits from all of this as well, because I can take my cloud spend sitting in outside services in our case here, and then start allocating it through the higher taxonomy in our system, all the way to solution offerings and business units. All right. So our dashboards are really supporting all functions in the business. So we have some basic cost transparency dashboards, looking at budget values, again, comparing them against the actuals as well. We can look at OPEX and we can look at CAPEX. We can look at the towers, IT towers, so your cloud spend would be distributed nicely across all of these. And then we understand how these are supporting the spend in these areas as well, and which are the business units to consume the spend. From a finance perspective, as we said earlier, we're aligning all our spend directly to the finance objects and terminology to bridge that gap here as well. So we have some standard finance dashboards, as well as some standard vendor dashboards where we can start looking into the individual vendors and how are they contributing to our spend. So we got here two cloud providers, obviously, and we can have a look at the vendors that are playing in the cloud provider space. Infrastructure, what are the cost centers that are using our cloud services? Obviously, there's some software cost and some outside services cost here as well, and as predicted, a wide spread across the towers for these two vendors in the space. Keeping going, we can look at technologies and assets that we have created. Cloud we already looked at from a cloud resourcing perspective, but we can also look at it from a total cost of ownership perspective. So what do we mean by total cost of ownership? So we're just looking at cloud costs here right now, but it's actually cloud cost plus additional costs that you incur for operating in the cloud. So we have some internal labor in here that could be your cost, your FinOps team, or it could be your cloud center of excellence team, and some licensing costs of additional software that you're using where you're not getting invoiced through the AWS marketplace. Again, we understand how the cost is distributed in this space, and now it becomes interesting because with all the rules and the automation that we put in place earlier, we now can see which individual applications are actually driven out of the cloud spend. So this is not the total cost of ownership for an application. It is all the cloud and cloud related cost of ownership for an application. So if you had additional app support costs or other costs that you need to run this application, this cost will increase over that, and we'll look at that later. And then we see in which areas these applications play and what digital services they can support. So my claims management app sits in the customer services area. My quote and customer portal sits in sales and marketing. My Snowflake here sits in my data domain. All right. And I got also two Snowflake here, one running on AWS and one in Azure. And I see them separately here, but they're both in the data domain. And I understand from a business unit perspective, which could also be customers or client-facing products or capabilities, how are they consuming these individual solutions? So this here will be even broken down further as we go further up the system. Application portfolio is the view where we can go to get the total cost of ownership for an application. And now we're going beyond cloud, right? So again, if we had our quote and customer portal here, let's drill into that one because we know it has some cloud cost in it. right? But now we're seeing internal labor has grown, external labor has grown, and we also got some hardware and some telecommunication costs on top of that. And these are costs that are specific to the application. So it's our cloud cost, our cloud support cost, and our app support cost, all playing in concert, bringing the total cost of ownership for one application, our quote and customer portal. And then I get all my goodies around this. Okay, I see, well, it's Microsoft because I'm running it on Azure. I got some external service providers helping me out. I bought some hardware from PP Tech, and I have another local service provider helping me. And because we're located in New Zealand, I have I'm incurring some cost from our Vodafone provider here. And I can see my spend over time, how it's developing, and if we're on the right track. For many companies, labor is a big part, all right, in addition to the cloud cost. So we provide a further breakdown what that looks as well. And again, which cost centers are playing in here. It often depends on how the organization is actually structured on what you will see here. But it's all standardized and it's all following a taxonomy. Going up the chain, solution TCO. So this is now where we're stringing multiple applications, multiple services together to get to a solution offering or digital service offering. And then we can start looking at that. And it's pretty similar to what we've seen on the application space, but it just gives us more insights. Again, if we had multiple things playing together, I'm not sure if this one has, but if I had multiple applications, well, we do. So we got our claims management app, but we're also seeing that under the hood, it's using a MuleSoft. And then I have a couple people using their software as well. And I've distributed that cost across this one as well because it's an in-house developed solution. So we have a little bit of overhead cost around Confluence. They're storing the stuff on OneDrive. They're using Teams to communicate. And they're doing the designs in Figma. Right. So now we're getting really, really to the point of understanding what it does cost us to offer that service. Lastly, we can align all of this cost to our business units. So if we want to understand, let's say I'm an insurance organization, I have multiple business units. I can look at my insurance for progress and I can see what systems are they using, how much are they using of it, and what is it costing us, and how is it trending. So who are my cost drivers from a cost perspective across the system? So I can see here my legacy billing system and how the cost has been trending over time. So I got the unit price here, and I can see that the usage, the unit price, and that was the spend. So the legacy billing system is invoiced out based on invoices sent. So that's how we calculate the cost. But it could be anything else. Like we could have number of licenses that we're looking at for our Salesforce, gigabytes consumed for our digital document storage that we're running on Azure. And we can see that per gigabyte we're paying $2 here. And we have consumed 46,000. From a unit economics perspective, we can now look as well, and for an individual solution offering, how is it trending over time? So let's take our claims management one again, and we can see the cost is going up, it's going down a little bit. What does that do to our unit cost? Well, our usage is pretty stable. It's slightly increasing, but it's quite stable. And then we can see here how the monthly unit price is trending over time. So with an increase of usage, even if the cost is going up, we get the drop in unit economics and unit price, which is really what we want to see.